Well, hi there. Welcome to the channel. It's we're back in the UK now, and I've been wanting to do this video. We normally, when we do a holiday, we do a summing up video where we can kind of go through some of the questions I can remember. So we're going to go straight into it, so there's not going to be an intro like we normally do. So welcome, glad you can make it. Sorry I've not been out. It's been an absolute manic since I've got back to work since Monday. So we hopefully will be out this weekend to do an out of the way kind of sort of video. We'll find somewhere to go to. So let's crack on, and we will do a summary of the holiday we did at Boa Vista at Riu Touareg. Get in there, see how I remember it. Anyway, let's do a sum up, and I'll go through some of the questions. So I do apologise if you've watched some of the videos, and I'm going to go through some of the bits again. So you'll have to hang in with me, and then we'll try and go through possibly some of the questions that I've seen raised on the old page on Facebook on my perspective. So this whole video is going to be my personal opinion on my trip. So there may well have been issues with other people on their trips, but obviously I can only go on my trip and on my opinion. So don't forget, as I said, the trip was not sponsored or financed by anyone. It was it was financed by me. So so let's go through it. We'll go step by step. I'm going to do this all in one take, hopefully, so bear with me. And as usual with the old channel, it's a channel of a couple. Look at that. It's got to get in it. Anyway, let me have a slurp of this and we will move on. Oh, that's better. Anyway, so first of all, let's have a chat about the room. So, as you said on the room review, I went in there, I went through all different bits and pieces. I literally showed you every section under the bed. So entering the room. Now, this hotel does not have the access cards. You're issued one key, which normally when we've gone to other hotels, you're given a card each. So I suppose it kind of makes it a little bit difficult that way. So we was only given one key for the room. So that was I suppose I could say it's a bit disappointing. Not the end of the world to me. You know, you work with it. So so that was that. Overall, while we was there, the room was okay. It was cleaned every day. So they reset the bed, as I've shown you some of the towel art they did, which was quite nice because I haven't really had that since we went to Egypt. So that was good. We did have to remind them to fill up the shower gel while we was there, but they did do it. So no fault. Overall, apart from, I suppose you could say the key instead of a card, but it's not a deal breaker to me. So there was that. The room was okay. It's, I suppose you could maybe do a bit of a refurb. Like I pointed out, the shower tray needs replacing. That had clearly been damaged quite a bit and had done repairs. So that was pointed out, as I did on the video. The lack of sockets wasn't great, especially if you're YouTubing. So, so there was that part. But overall, I mean, everything worked in the room. They did clean the room. You know, you don't spend a lot of time in there. The bed was fine. Actually, it was one of the better beds I've slept in, to be honest, compared to a lot of other hotels. So, so given the due, it was okay. So the aircon worked, fans worked, sockets worked. I've been in hotels where only half the sockets actually worked. So, so overall, I don't know. I'd kind of give the room, I don't know, about 7.5, 7.8. There was no bugs in the room. I did check multiple times. We never had an issue with bugs. Again, I can only go by my experience and my opinion in there, but we never had any issues with bugs. So, so overall, that kind of covers the room. Like I said, go back, check the video, but it's overall it was fine. So I've had a lot worse before. And it certainly was way better than some of the experiences I had in North Tenerife and in Ibiza. So yeah, like I said, overall pretty good. So okay, what I did notice outside of the room is the stairwell bits that never got cleaned from what I could see, swept, brushed. There was the same rubbish there all week. Now I can see what some people are pointing at, where there is issues where the place doesn't look that clean. Some areas, and to be fair, I've had this at Tenerife, where some areas seem to get cleaned and some don't. I don't know whether it's just down to staff levels, just what the management want done, who knows. Again, it's bearable. It's not like there's literally bags of rubbish everywhere. It was nothing like that. It was just the bits on the floor that you could notice had been there quite a while. So, but yeah, so overall, that was kind of the experience on the room. Location, some people have pointed us out, is it hard to find the rooms? We did have an issue to start with. When we first got there, the complex, they did show us on the map booking in, and it was okay to a point, but I think how they drew it on the map, it's okay if you've been there a lot, but if you've never been there before, which we hadn't, I think we found about every room number bar the one we wanted. But we did find it in the end. You just got to notice some of them are upstairs and at sort of different levels. So it's, but worst case, if you get stuck, there is people to ask. So, and chances are they know the room more than you. Okay, arrival at the hotel, that was fine. All looked very nice, clean, presentable at the front. No issues with that. Staff, pretty helpful and happy. No issues with that at all. Quite a nice looking hotel when you come into it inside. Kind of set out how you'd expect it, and I suppose kind of the rear kind of look. But we did have a long wait at the start, and I think my wife was kind of aware of it, but we never did it. So just as a hint and a tip for you, on the Riu app, you can book in and pre-register a lot of your details that you do when you normally book in on a hotel. So save yourself time, because they do have two queues. One is the standard queue that we was in, and no lie, it took us half an hour to get through. Or there is an online separate line on the right as you go in, and that is for people who have pre-registered on the app, a lot of their details. So if you are going, try and do that, because it does save you a lot of time. And it's very difficult to sit there tapping away on your phones and how we do when you first get there. So yeah, try that. It will make it a lot easier. I just spilled a bit of my tea there. Let's try that again. So that's booking in. Reception now did look pretty clean, no issues at all. Like I said, there was numerous staff at the front desk booking you in, but obviously because of there's quite a lot of you turn up all at once, so that does make it that little bit more difficult. So that was getting to the hotel, coming in. They did take your bags. They put little stickers on that you get from reception, and then one of the staff will come and bring your bags to your room. So, but overall, yeah, that was the experience coming in and going into the room and going around the room. So, what we'll look at next is the restaurants. I did a full package on the playlist of different restaurants for you to have a look at. Again, it was only a bit like an MOT on your car. It was only my experience on the day, what we saw, what we ate, tasted, and everything else. I gave you a list of what I thought. I would possibly put the Italian and the Asian restaurant kind of about the same level. They were both nice, but definitely my pick of the holiday, as I said before, is the Boa Vista restaurant. So it's a bit of a shame, and because full disclaimer on this, I can only compare it against Rio Buena Vista at Tenerife. So that's the only other Rio one I've been to. Now there you can book multiple times during your week to go into these separate kind of restaurant areas. It was a bit disappointing on that complex that you could only book once if you were there for a week. I think you get an extra option if you're there for on a 10-day or a 2-week kind of thing. I think you can then do it multiple, sort of a couple of times. But yeah, it was a bit of a shame, and more a bit of a shame when you could only book once, yet when you went there, half the restaurant was empty. So I think they're perhaps missing a trick there a bit, really. But yeah, so that was the restaurant. So out of all of them, the ones we went to, as you will see on the playlist, my pick definitely would be the Boa Vista, by far. Everything tasted great. It was, I couldn't really fault it on anything. Little tip, little bonus there for you if you work there. So that's kind of restaurants. Main restaurant, yeah, I mean, they are what they are. As I've read on reports before, where people will say, "Oh, there isn't a lot of choice. They're dishing up the same thing," and we hear the same thing in Tenerife. Yes, you're kind of restricted to a point, but my personal view on this is, if you're going to load up your plate on every area that's going, then it is going to look like they're doing the same stuff every day, and they do vary it. So I'm not a big food critic, as you'd have seen on the things. I'll give you at layman's terms, pretty basic. It is what it is. I didn't particularly have any issue with any of the food. My wife said it was pretty good. So, there was a couple of little niggles. The only main niggle I would have for the restaurants is one, unlike Tenerife, I don't think they turfed around the food and got it out quick enough. Numerous occasions on breakfast and on other visits, there seemed to be a lack of getting the food out quickly, because you're dealing with a lot of people and you're going to get through a lot of food pretty quick. So at times I did find trays empty, or you're waiting for stuff to be cooked where they're refilling the trays, but it's taking them time. I don't know why, whether it's a staffing issue, whether it's the process, how they do it. But I do know at at Tenerife, we was not waiting around for food. They replenished pretty quick. Where here, you did seem to feel that you was waiting some time. A few occasions, I went to the ice cream section and the tubs were empty and no one had even noticed. Yes, they did eventually, but again, this is what I'm saying. It seems to be very kind of lax and slow with them replenishing food. So not saying all sections, some sections are pretty good and there's stuff always there, but it could be that some people have more things than others. But I did find sometimes even with chips and that, you were waiting for them to replenish it. And there wasn't a lot of, and I would have thought in catering there'd have been sort of some forward thinking that the ones that are going to go quick. So, but there, like I said, I'm no expert, I'm not a chef, I don't work in them areas, so I will leave that to them. But overall, not really too much to grumble about, pretty much everything. For me personally, what I wanted was there. You're on holiday, you're going to eat bloody crap for a week, aren't you? So you just get on with it. So, dessert-wise, as I said before, I'm not a massive dessert person. I don't really do fish and that. I did have the feedback from my wife, who most of the time said the fish stuff was fine. The desserts, some of them were okay, but I do find also with a lot of hotels, the desserts look wonderful, but when you actually taste it, sometimes they kind of not really taste as much, but it is what it is. So, but overall, staff pretty welcome when you come in, like on the breakfast time, that they would come in and do your coffee and all that kind of thing. Kind of, I suppose, sort of standard, what I've seen at Riu places anyway. I've not unfortunately been to a lot of Riu places, but, not for trying. So that's kind of restaurants. To be fair, most of the time I found them reasonably clean. I didn't really pick up on anything major, to be honest, or certainly nothing out of the ordinary that I would expect. One of the questions was, there's lots of flies in the country. I've kind of covered this before. Yes, there is flies there. I do expect it. You're near Africa. It's that kind of climate. We get them in the UK, so it's not... yes, there was flies. Whether them fans and all that kind of thing work, I don't know, as you never had any, but it's not a deal breaker for me. It was not over the top. It was not to the point where I thought, I can't eat here. And that would have been on any of the restaurants, to be honest. I suppose the only criticism I suppose you might have said possibly was the main restaurant. I think it's kind of air conditioned, but they have all the doors wide open. I know it's holiday and it's that kind of arena, and I suppose they would normally leave doors open, but I think if you shut them, you know, it might have stopped some of the flies, maybe, but who knows? I'm not an expert. So that's the main restaurant. The Bariba restaurant at the pool, I've got two minds on that. I kind of like the ease of access, but I think you've got signs up saying you can't be wet to go in, but that is the only restaurant and drinks area you can go to from the pool. Where Tenerife literally have one built outside, so you can literally stay outside if you like, and just go up and get your drinks and all that, and it doesn't matter whether you're soaking wet. So I don't really know, perhaps it's maybe something they could think about. I know a lot of people just kind of got most of the wet off and just went in anyway. So food selection again, it was okay. Expected what you would get from a near pool kind of arena. All the drinks were always there. There was always ice there. Yes, it did have the full menu that you would get in the main restaurant, but then again, I wouldn't expect it would do. But at least you could go down there if you wanted a kind of an outside experience, but near the pool, or overlooking the pools, I mean, for breakfast, you could go down there for breakfast. So they did have two areas for breakfast. But overall, you know, the staff were always pleasant enough. They was always there clearing up, doing bits, so I can't particularly fault the guys. I suppose another, to do with the fly situation, the only thing I could maybe pick on, a lot of the food areas, like on the main restaurant and there, like where the cheeses and the desserts, is kind of all open and the flies can just go in there anyway. Where the cooked food stuff, I suppose, because of the heat, they don't always tend to hover around that bit so much. So just little bits, but again, nothing major. It was okay. You know, it's what you'd expect. So out of the restaurants overall, I don't know, I'd give them maybe 7, I think. Only because, and I think, like I said, the biggest bugbears was more than anything. I did find 1 or 2 plates with bits of food on, so you just put them aside. It didn't happen that often, but it did happen. So I'm not going to lie and say it didn't, because it did. But overall, I think mainly because of the food, the slowness of the food replenishment, I'd perhaps give that maybe a 7 out of 10. So swimming pools, I did like how they had them. I do think the place will go for the pools to start with. I think they do need work doing to them. I didn't particularly see them cleaned that well. They were clean, from what I could see. I used to go down about 6 in the morning. Obviously, if you watch my pool video, you'll see the issue I had with the towels with that staff member. Although he was all right the rest of the week, so I don't know what happened there, but there we go. So take my advice, private towels is the way, not the hotel ones. Anyway, maintenance on the pools. I only ever once saw him clean the main pool out with the Hoover once, and I don't think he was doing that good a job, because after he'd done it, I went in an hour later and it seemed to be the same bits on the bottom. Could just be, it's a bar area, that's just it must be quite hard to clean. But overall, the pools, I don't know, I'd give them, including the maintenance and the look and that, they seem to spend a hell of a lot of time brushing the sides of the pool and not worrying about what's in the pool. And I'm thinking I'll perhaps be doing it the other way around, really. But you know, I'm not a pool expert, so that's just my opinion. I would give the pools, I don't know, because the setting wasn't too bad. Maybe 6 out of 10. Adults only, I can't really, we didn't stop there. It would be nice to have been shown it, or to stop there, perhaps maybe another time. Obviously I'm self-funded, so which is why a lot of places I go to on all my channel, I have to self-fund, so it's I have to do what I can afford. So this occasion we went to the hotel and we took the standard package and that. So yeah, so that would be the pools. I mean, overall, I didn't particularly see any lifeguards. I suppose you have the entertainment fitness people about, so I guess they're part of the lifeguard situation. But I do know when I was in Tenerife, that team and the lifeguard team are two separate groups. So kind of, I didn't really, apart from on the beach, didn't see many lifeguards at all. Apart from that, like I said, tidiness every morning. Even once they'd finished cleaning up, I still could see lots of bits that I thought, I don't know how you've missed this, with cups about and everything else. I didn't think they did that thorough a job, to be honest. I think it could have been done a lot better. But there, just my opinion. But there we go. So that's the polls. But overall, they're all right. You know, they are what they are. So at least none of the beds were broken from what I could see. It's just general wear and tear, and well, actually we'll go over the rest in a moment. Beach wise, lovely beach, absolutely lovely beach. I didn't really spend a lot of time on, apart from when I was filming. I think we went out once to kind of do a recce, and then I came out, as you saw in the second one, where I did the beach video. So someone did ask me about donkeys. I didn't see any about any time I went on the beach. It's not to say they don't, but I just didn't see any. So, but like I said, lovely beach. A shame you couldn't have swam in the waters, but I guess that's just the island, just how that one is. The lifeguards didn't want you in there. It was red flagged all the time. And to be fair, looking at the sea, it looked quite rough. And I will leave that to the experts. They know the island way better than me. So, but yeah, so that was the beach. Apart from that, odd bits of litter, but you could see this has been left by us lot visiting. Nothing to do with the local community. So it, you know, we've only got ourselves to blame if we don't use the bins. But yeah, apart from that, beach, definitely good thumbs up. Definitely one of the best beaches I think I've been on. So I would certainly give that good 9.5, I would say at least. I'd give it a bit more, but obviously you couldn't actually swim in the sea. So, but yeah, but there was lifeguards there. It was flagged. There was plenty of information. So yeah, definitely a good thumbs up for the beach. And if you wanted to spend time out there, you could. So, entertainment, yeah, it was all right to a point. I didn't think, I think it could have been a lot better. To be fair, again, I've been to lots of different hotels, but to kind of make it even Stevens, we'll just base it on Riu at Tenerife. I actually thought Riu at Tenerife's entertainment was way better, way better organised and put out. I found this one quite, not to be a part, I found it at times maybe a bit kind of mediocre, really. I'm not going to have a go at the guys who did the work. I mean, they've done a better job than I could. Certainly sang, and the singers were really good. But there was a lot of miming, and I think they could do with a lot more support. I don't know how that side's looked after, but I think the management and that need to do a lot more work with them. It's a shame, because you've certainly got a great area to do it in, plenty of seating area. You know, location-wise, it's great. I just think the entertainment team, you know, just need a bit more support and maybe money behind them and that kind of thing, and to bring some more artists in. It just seemed to be at Tenerife, you had more artists coming in who actually did perform. But there, could just be when we're there. Overall, I mean, entertainment, I'm afraid I could only maybe give it a 4. So, like I said, there was a couple of slight better nights, but that was about it, really. So, just my opinion. So that's the entertainment. The activities were about what you would get at Riu. They all seemed, like I said, there was the children's area at the, I can't remember what you call it, Riu World, or sort of kids zone area. Didn't go in there, so I can't overly judge and help you on that, because I don't have any children that age now. But it looked pretty set up how most Riu places would be. and they had the art bit. There was the rear fit bit there with the yoga and that, and the team seemed to be pretty on it. So I would give the team sort of eight to 9, kind of doing stuff with you. At the end of this video, so hang in there, we're going to do the old hook now. If you wait to the end of this video, there was a video that I kind of forgot to put in on the tour. So I'm going to put it in on this one, and this will show you the water balloon fight that they do. They did it a couple of times when we was there, so I'm going to play it at the end of this. So hang in there, hang into the end. We're nearly there. So yeah, watch to the end. Yeah, so the daytime activities and that, they all seem to be on. Everyone was joining in with the volleyball and the aquafit and all that kind of thing. So yeah, pretty good, the guys there on that. I'll give them a thumbs up there. And I think that kind of everything. So let's just quickly sum up now. We've been on this 25 minutes now. I don't want to rabbit on anymore. Question, would I go back? Yeah, there was nothing there particularly that I would think, no, I don't want to go back. So I've definitely been to a couple of hotels at Northern Tenerife, which I would never go back. But this one, I just think, you know, overall, Ria needs to go in there. I hate to say, kind of shut the place for a year and completely refurb it. Some decor looks kind of okay and look quite good. You know, it is kind of set out a bit like a castle, sort of sultan kind of place. I kind of like the look of it. It does look a bit like a prison castle kind of thing. But I can see what they were trying to do, and I'm assuming Ria never built the plot. I guess Ria brought into it at some point. I just think the whole place, the pools, everywhere, it just needs a complete refurb of everything. Like I said, the times I saw them hammering away in the pools at 6 in the morning trying to repair it. Clearly the whole place, I hate to say, needs closing down for an aspect, and for them to go through everything and refurb it all. Numerous occasions the toilets, the fans, drying fans wouldn't work, and or there was issues with taps or things like that. Again, nothing to break the bank, nothing that I would think, oh, I'm going back there. So summing up, overall, I just think the place needs a complete refurb. It's really coming across a bit dated now. The lack of access cards to the rooms, but again, not a deal breaker. And generally, that the place does look grubby in areas, and I don't think the tidying up and cleaning is quite as good as it could be. But having said that, as I've said before, would I go back? Yeah, there's nothing there would stop me not going back. Overall, it was okay. I would say the whole holidays package, I would give it, accounting for everything, I don't know, I would give it about 7.5. So yeah, that kind of sums up my experience. Overall, pretty good. Take a note of the tips I've done on all the other videos. Try and make sure, I try not bore people too much. I like to give you a real terms, real view at my expense of what it was like. So I'm not being sponsored or funded by anyone, so you're not going to get their view. I'm not going to give you any company's view. I'll give you my personal view, and that's only my opinion at the time that I filmed it, that I can show you. So that kind of wraps it up. I hope I haven't bored you too much. I just want to give you my real version of what it was like there. And overall, it was pretty good. And yeah, I'll go back tomorrow. But yeah, overall, the staff were pretty good, and the place was, you know, it was okay. So anyway, hopefully you'll catch me in my next one. Yes, unfortunately, unlike other channels, I can't go out the country every 5 minutes. Not my choice. I'd love to, but when you're funding stuff yourself, it's quite hard. So yeah, if you can, please share around your groups, and anyone who's thinking of going out to Boa Vista and particularly that hotel. And if you've got any questions, drop me a line, drop me a message on here or anything, and I'll answer best I can and honest as I can to you what it was like. So, but overall, it was okay. So. But yeah, if you can, give us a like. I'm really trying to get the channel moving, and I really need as many subscribers as I can. I hate to ask, but at least 80-85% of people who view my stuff don't subscribe, and it would really help my channel if we're going to continue existing on YouTube, if I can get these subscribers. I really need to get that 1,000 by Christmas if I can, especially if we're going to keep going. But anyway, enough of me going on. Thanks ever so much for watching and putting up with me. I will hopefully see you in the next one, and we should be out this weekend to film another place in the UK. Anyway, have fun. If you do get to go to Boa Vista, have the best time as you can. Just make sure you carry that sun cream with you, because it is really hot, and at times it doesn't seem hot, but it really burns. So anyway, hang in there. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoy the content. Have a great time if you go on holiday, wherever you go to. And always give me a hello or shout, whatever, and I'll always reply back to you as quick or best I can. Anyway, take care, and I will see you in the next one.